I came to the US about 25 years ago.
Mm.
I work at IBM as a software engineering manager.
As a hiring manager, what are some examples of candidates really impressing you? Things that they did and you thought, okay, I want this guy on my team. Chong, great finally meeting you. Thank you for the support on LinkedIn over the past couple months.
Yeah, nice to meet you here. Yeah, I really appreciate your work helping international students and professionals and get the job in the US. So yeah, glad to be on your YouTube.
Thank you. And I appreciate your work as well, both what you've accomplished and how you are now kind of helping people do the same.
Yeah.
So, for people who don't know you, can you share a little bit of your career story, how you came to the US and where you are now?
I came to the US about 25 years ago. At the time, I finished my Korean Army duty and went back to college, but then the Korea suffered a huge financial crisis back then, so I couldn't continue my studying. So I came to the US for a better opportunity. I've done a lot of things here, working at a deli and hamburger store.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
for um, my wife's friend's husband was in IT and he was making great money, and I really loved what he did. So I taught myself how to code, struggled for 2 years interviewing, finally landed my first junior developer job. From there on, fast forward,
Mhm.
I work at IBM as a software engineering manager.
Congratulations and way to not give up. A very, very cool story.
Yeah, thank you.
Something I especially appreciate about what you just said is you said it took 2 years to kind of get your big entry into the industry. Sometimes when I get messages from Koreans, they say, I tried to get a job in the US, but I didn't get an interview after 2 months, so I guess I'm not good enough. It can take time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, especially, the interview process and culture, everything's different. It takes
Mhm.
some time to acclimate to those different things.
Hmm. Very, very true. So let's talk about some of those differences. When you think about yourself, how you performed in interviews 20 plus years ago versus today, how have things changed? What were you doing then that you now realize maybe wasn't helping you, and how do you do it differently today?
So when I was looking for my first junior developer job about 20 plus years ago,
Mm-hmm.
um, I didn't have a computer science degree. I didn't have any working experience. Yet,
Mm-hmm.
at the interviews, I try to be look like the most qualified candidate, which I was not. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to predict the interview questions and prepare the perfect answers. There's no such thing as perfect answers.
Mm-hmm.
And I focused on the way I dress, the way I sound. Um, I think it was a totally wrong approach. I was focusing on the wrong things.
Mm-hmm.
From that, and which I'll explain how I got my first job through the approach that I'm gonna apply today.
Mm-hmm.
So let me answer how I would approach differently now
Sure, yeah.
by explaining by telling a story of three recent people I had a coffee chat with. So two
Okay.
of them, one is a data scientist and the other one is data analyst. And those people created a PowerPoint highlighting their career accomplishments and skills and brought that PowerPoint to the employer during the interview. So they had a really great time interview uh, because they prepared and they also brought this PowerPoint so that the interviewer was really intrigued, and interviewer asked a lot of questions about their accomplishments and experience they brought
Mm-hmm.
instead of these candidates answering whatever random questions interviewer might have. So they
Mm-hmm.
had a really great time interview during the interview. And the other person was a web developer, and he spent about a couple days to create a bug report for the company website. And he brought that bug report with him at the interview, and he gave the interviewer a really great impression. So I think the common theme here is not to come up with the best answers to whatever random interview questions, but to show the future employer how they can contribute to the future employer with the skills and experience they have. So if I were to get a job
Mm-hmm.
today,
Mm-hmm.
I would try to explain how I could benefit the company through a PowerPoint or cover letter or a bug report. That's what I would do.
That is a fantastic approach because by sending that, you're not just showing your value in a more compelling way than your words alone. It can really help shape what they ask you. So then you are way more prepared for those questions. And
Totally.
I love your point about how there's no perfect answer because it's kind of impossible to 100% predict every single thing they're going to ask you.
Yeah.
And I try to empathize with people who are non-native English speakers. Interviews are tough. I can't imagine how hard it would be in a second language, but I always recommend people to get away from the I'm going to memorize scripts for every response or for every question kind of approach because if they ask you things that you're not prepared for, if you're so focused on memorizing stuff, you're probably not going to make much of a connection with the interviewer. Yeah, those are great tips. Love the PowerPoint and the bug report. What a proactive idea. That's awesome.
Awesome.
And that kind of touches on the next topic, which is just culturally, how do you feel interviews and job searching is different here versus Korea?
I had one job interview when I was in Korea 26, 27 years ago.
Mhm.
Um, it's a long time ago, but every candidate at the job interview was very sincere, but yet passive. They try to answer interviewers' questions as best as they can without
Mhm.
appearing too cocky or without showing off too much.
Okay.
But here in the US, the job interviews, candidates like salespeople, they sell themselves really well.
hmm And that's what the companies want. They want to hear your achievements. They want to hear why you'll add value to their company.
Absolutely. 100% agree there. So I think my English and Korean speaking styles are really different. When I speak
I
to
can see that.
Korean
Yeah.
people, I am more humble and passive.
hmm
But when I speak to my American friends, I'm a lot more expressive, as you can tell.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, it's really important to adjust to the different mindset, different culture, different style.
That is very true. Yeah. Yeah. You are now a hiring manager. You're interviewing candidates. You're the one choosing who gets an offer. What are some other common mistakes that you see?
I think a lot of people are nervous about their English.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to speak the perfect English. There's no such thing as perfect English.
hmm
Even
hmm
me living here over 20 plus years, I make a lot of mistakes
I
every
make
day.
mistakes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you can express your thoughts and you can understand the interviewer, you're fine. You can do the job. So don't get nervous when you make mistakes. That's fine.
hmm hmm
Don't get phased by that. I think another incorrect myth is that when you make mistakes, when you uh, provide a wrong or bad response, candidates often think that the interviewer will look down at them.
hmm
They just scratch them off and then be done with that candidate. It's not true.
hmm hmm
Uh, yeah, a lot of the times, including myself, when I have an interview with international students who
Hmm.
doesn't speak English really well, I don't look down at them. I admire um, their passion and admire that they are pursuing jobs in the US because a
Hmm.
lot of
Hmm.
people, it takes a lot to do that.
It's a big challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
huge challenge, a really difficult challenge. So don't be discouraged when you make a mistake or when you say something wrong. You can bounce back. Now, I'll say more about how important it is to be confident at a job interview. But whenever you provide an inadequate answer, interviewer will look down at you. That is totally not true. Another myth is that candidates often think that the companies will only hire the most competent candidate.
Hmm.
That's not true. That is one of the factors. Companies
Hmm.
look for the candidate who is competent enough to get the job done and shows strong commitment, so they don't
Yes.
job hopping uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
and compatibility. If this person will blend into my team or not.
Hmm.
So those three C's, it's not from me. It's from a guy named Gorik Ng. He wrote a book called The Unspoken Rule. It has a lot of good stuff. So
Nice, nice.
yeah. So if you don't have the competency, like a skills degree or whatever experience, then you can compensate that by
Hmm.
showing your strong
Hmm.
commitment and compatibility. So if you,
Hmm.
so that this is the reason why I encourage candidates, even if you don't check up all the job qualifications, go ahead and apply and
Hmm. Hmm.
show off with the ultimate commitment and compatibility, and you might get a job. So that's the third myth that
Hmm.
I think people are incorrect about.
Those are fantastic pieces of advice. Yeah, yeah. I love that point you said. If you just make one mistake, one English mistake, they're not going to judge you as a candidate based on that.
Yeah.
I think what can sometimes happen though, and maybe you've experienced this, the interviewee makes that one mistake and then they get a little bit flustered and it affects all of the rest of their answers. Their answers don't make as much sense. They're pausing, they're thinking. You can tell that they're kind of getting frustrated in the interview. If that happens, then maybe it will affect the impression. But just a few, if you make a small mistake, just take a deep breath and try not to let it affect the rest of your performance because that mistake by itself is not going to be a deal breaker.
You make a great point, especially that is true for Korean candidates,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
Korean candidates, they prepare. I can tell they prepared.
Oh yeah.
They know about
Oh
the
yeah.
company. Yeah,
Mhm.
introduce yourself. They just recited like,
Entire career story. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Until they were asked a question that they don't know about or they can answer,
Hmm. Hmm.
or they make a English grammar mistake and they
Hmm.
immediately look disappointed and deflated even, and you can totally tell physically.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think that's really hurting their entire interview because nobody,
Hmm.
even if you're the most competent person, company will not hire you
Hmm. Hmm.
if you don't look confident. So it is really important. You made a great point. You have to be confident. You shouldn't be faced by one mistake or English mistakes, whatever.
Hmm.
Just keep going, bounce back.
And speaking from a American perspective, sometimes we don't even notice why the person gets flustered. We don't realize it's because of an English mistake. We just see, okay, for the second half of the interview, they seemed kind of upset for some reason. I don't know why. Like you said earlier, it's not just your competency. It's your cultural fit. Do you seem genuinely interested in working there? Do you seem like you'd be enjoyable to work with? And
Absolutely.
sometimes the negative emotions after an English mistake can hurt their impression in those areas.
100%. Yeah, I can totally see it from the other side of the table. Now I can see it.
And that's awesome advice that yes, you need to have the qualifications for the job, but that's not everything. Just because you fit the requirements, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed an interview or an offer. And if you aren't 100% qualified, it's still possible, but you kind of got to compensate for it in those other areas, in how well prepared you are for the interview, in if you know anyone working there, you can get some inside information, or like those great examples you had earlier, showing up and applying with something, with a PowerPoint, with some sort of analysis report, something that will really put you apart from the other candidates. So, yeah, fantastic tips all around.
Yeah, great points. Can't agree more.
Great. So, let's talk about some of the success stories then. As a hiring manager, what are some examples of candidates really impressing you? Things that they did and you thought, okay, I want this guy on my team.
Okay, we had a open rec for a junior developer, and this person applied for that position internally,
Mhm.
and he didn't have the computer science degree. He was working at a customer support department. So he's far from coding. He applied anyways. So to be fair, we gave him a coding problem uh, that he needed to turn in within, I don't know, 3 days or something. So when we received his solution, it wasn't that impressive, but he solved the problem. So we decided to proceed with the interview anyways. So during the interview, competency-wise, he wasn't there at all.
Mhm.
But what really spoke loudly to me was that he created various tiny programs to automate some of his manual, tedious tasks at work.
Ooh,
So that showed me, man, this guy is really passionate about coding. And he learned coding on and off the job. And I thought that if I just throw any task at him, he'll figure it out. So we took a chance, hired him. Turns out it was a great hire. He's doing great right now.
that's awesome. Great point. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a another really good point for early and even some mid-career professionals. They're not always hiring you based on your skills today. They're hiring you based on potential. If you show how willing you are to learn, to adapt, to gain the skills that they're looking for, and you really show it, you don't just say, I can learn anything, I'm talented, then that's going to make a really good impression.
Yeah, you said it perfectly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Love always getting the perspective from a hiring manager, especially someone like you who has lived the journey that so many of my clients are trying to do. And congrats on all your success here in the US.
Thank you so much. And really, really thank you for inviting me to your channel. It was my honor to speak on your channel like this. And viewers who wants to get a job and advance in your career in the US, click subscribe.
Thank
Subscribe
you
and
so
like.
much. Really appreciate that. And speaking of subscribing, where can people find you?
Oh yeah, reach out to me on LinkedIn or my YouTube channel.
Perfect. I will put the links to both of those things below.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Appreciate
And
that.
thank you again for your time. This has been a lot of fun.
All right. Thanks, friend. Nice talking to you.